Welcome to Season 3 of the Casual Camping Podcast, your home for the best camping discussion both in and out of the field. Here are your hosts, Tim and Ade.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Casual Camping Podcast. I'm Tim.
And I'm Ade. Welcome back.
They've made it to episode 2 of season 3. I'm going to keep saying these numbers because I'm still gobsmacked that we're in our 3rd season.
Wow. 3rd season, Tim. And like we said, if you made it to the end of last week's episode, which why wouldn't you if you started it? But maybe we start with the fact that we have been voted number 1 in the world for camping podcast on Player FM. Thank you very much.
Absolutely right. Yes, we totally forgot to mention that until the end of the last episode, and it is kind of like massive news. Although somebody did put on the Facebook group chat today that something about that. So clearly they'd listened to the whole episode. So well done, well done you.
Well, you know, and if you haven't, then maybe go back and listen to it. We understand that people do podcasts while they're driving to work. Sometimes our podcasts go a little bit sort of beyond where we were, but we can't help it. We're just chatting. We're two brothers having a laugh, and sometimes we just don't want to stop. So
it's you're lucky, listeners, really, that these aren't 3 hours each. Quite frankly.
You betcha. I mean, they could be. They really could be. The dipper. There'd be highs and lows, I think.
There would. There'd have to be. There'd have to be snap breaks, drink breaks, and probably toilet breaks. I've got an amazing mediocre 5-star review.
Ooh.
You too, listeners, could be part of this segment and get a shout out if you send us your mediocre 5-star review. You can in the show notes. There's a link right at the top to send us a message. Don't forget to put your name in there, or you can just contact us on a direct message on any of our socials. Or if you're on Apple Podcasts, you can leave us a genuine 5-star review on there, and we'll give you a shout out. It's but Laird Krug sent this cool name. I don't think I can take the mick out of that. It's actually a really cool name, Laird Krug. It's like yeah.
I wonder whether you put some Yorkshireism on that. I can imagine he's sat in America going, "Beep, murdered it. He murdered it."
Did you F-bomb then? I will beep the F-bomb out.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I am murdering your name. I don't mean to, but Laird Krug. It is probably, yeah, I'm not even going to do an accent, not after last week's attempt at an Irish accent. It's but Laird says, and this has come from Houston in Texas, so it is from the States. 5 stars, the Goldilocks of camping podcasts. Howdy, y'all. As a Texan who's spent more nights in the woods than I have in my own bed. Okay, slight exaggeration. Casual Camping Podcast is exactly what I need. Just enough expert advice to keep me from setting myself on fire from sparky burns, but not so much that I feel guilty for using a camp chair instead of a rock. Tim and Ade are the perfect blend of knowledge and chaos, like two guys who could either teach you to start a fire or accidentally burn down the whole campsite. 5 stars because I laughed. I learned, and I only mildly questioned their survival skills. Pop a top, my friends. Oh God!
He's bang on the money there, lad.
Oh God! I laughed so much when I read that. We're either going to teach you how to light a fire or burn down the campsite. You've got us. You've nailed us.
Nailed us. And if we've got one nugget out of each episode of actually we've taught somebody something brilliant, even if that is how to burn down the campsite.
Put it all on.
Running with knives and axes, you know. We do it all.
Yeah, please listen to the end of the show to the disclaimer where we don't tell you to run with knives and axes.
Thank
Oh,
you
God.
so much, Laird, for taking the time to put that out there.
That's
It
really
did
cool.
give us both one heck of a smile. So
It
thank
really
you.
did. It really did. Laird has also been on our socials, and he's posted a picture of his recent barbecue, which looks amazing, with a sticker
Yeah.
stuck on it. So Laird's had some of our stickers sent out to Texas. So if you want some Casual Camping Podcast stickers, get in touch with us on the socials. Send us your name and address. We don't use that for anything else. So just literally tear it up after I've put them in the post. But we'll send you some stickers wherever you are in the world. All we ask is do what Laird did and take a photo of it and share it with us, because I love seeing those stickers out all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And, very much like, make sure you subscribe, recommend us to friends. We're on the socials. We want you to be on the socials too. Do what Laird did. It really means a lot to us, and it helps us continue doing what we're doing.
Yeah, yeah. Particularly, like you say, share it with your friends. It's word of mouth is by far the best thing for sharing stuff like the show. So if you've got an equally like-minded mate who's into camping and might want to burn down a campsite, get them interested in the show. We're not recommending you burn down campsites.
Aiden, Tim, don't take any responsibility for anything that they might or might not have said.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, what have you been doing this week, Tim?
I've been back at work. It's and pretty exhausted as a result. I know. Now I have to say I'm really pleased to be back at work. It's great. It's great to be back at work after being off for a bit.
I'm
It's
sure.
and it's great sort of being around people who have clearly missed you being at work as well. So it's I work at a good place, so it's really cool.
I was going to say,
what?
Had you read it? Had you read about those places?
There's lots of places that don't want me to come and work with them. Mainly places I've worked at before. Only joking. I'm all right at my job. I'm all right. They let me prescribe drugs and everything. Oh dear. But no, didn't do much the weekend because I'd been at work for a week, so I was pretty shattered. So, what you been up to?
I have been surfing the net. I seem to be looking for inspiration for camping.
Yeah. Sorry, I will come back to you. I did do one thing at the weekend that's exciting. Sorry. Carry on.
Good. So I've been doing that. I've also shared some pictures last week about some of my new birthday present gifts and stoves, and I've been tinkering to try and make a heat deflector on my Winterwell Nomad stove, which I think I've done quite well with, to be honest. I might actually patent it as something to actually, get some money from. Get no money from whatsoever.
Get no money.
I'll be like Volvo and its car seat belts. They'll just let everybody use them.
You're going to give it to the world for safe.
Give it to the world. Anybody that's got a Winterwell fire stove, here's a heat protector.
Yeah.
Deflector.
I have to say, when you described it to me when you were planning it, I thought that sounds ropey and could be a right piece of junk.
He's going to spoil that nice bit of kit with some bit of add-on metal.
Absolutely, what I was about to say. That you're going to take a beautiful, beautiful Winterwell stove and just put some baking tray on it and make it look right.
Here's a bit of tin foil.
I thought, oh no, Ed, don't do that. But I have to say, your video of it and everything, it looks seriously solid, and I think it's an absolute cracking idea.
Well,
because the Nomad does sit. I've got the Nomad, and it does sit nearer the floor. So if you've got a tent floor, you've got to protect it, and I protect it by having a piece of plywood underneath the heat mat. The heat mat isn't going to stop the heat going through; it's just going to stop sparky burns burning through your floor. But the heat still goes through it, and I'm glad I used that piece of wood because actually it's now a bit discoloured because so much heat does get through. But my tent floor is absolutely fine. I think it's a cracking idea what you've done. It looks great.
Well, because you have said that, and the Nomad is much lower than it must be about 3 inches lower than the Woodlander.
Yeah.
But it's because it's got 4 legs instead of 3, like the Woodlander has. I was just thinking you just get some props going from leg to leg across that, and then just hold something up. So I'll put some pictures on this week. Version 1.
Yes.
And it's cost me £10, which is basically a baking tray. So
No, but you've done some cutting and stuff with it, and I think it looks way better than what was in my head.
So me and tinkering, I quite like it. So watch out, watch this space because Winnowell might patent something else, and then I'll be out of pocket. But they're welcome to it.
You could sell it to Winnowell, and they as an idea, and then you could retire.
Yeah. Retire for a day. And just the other things I've been doing is just watching YouTube. I think I'm missing being out. It's been a couple of weeks since I was last out.
Don't rub it in.
I think I'd like to be out again. I might go camping this week. Who knows?
Oh, you absolute. We're gonna have overuse of the beep machine at this rate.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm just it's not to cause you envy, but I feel that need that the last time I was out, I was staying in somebody else's tent, and I've got a load of new stuff that's just.
I know what that's like. You bought all that new. Well, you haven't bought. All
I've not even done a first burn on the new stove yet. I've been waiting. I want to. There's content, Tim. There's content, so I've got to. Do I do an unboxing video? Who wants to see the 50th unboxing of a Nomad stove?
Our listeners do, Ed.
Oh, of course. What, to hear my dulcet tones go, hello? I've watched my videos. They're not enthralling. I need to get better. But, I get an awful lot out of them. Look at me, showing off with me kids. And I use that voice on the video.
I'm going to say it. With that high-pitched voice.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not conscious.
So the one nice thing I did do yesterday morning is
Easy.
I wrote. Moving on. I wrote a list of camping trips for the next few months. Of dates of I went through my calendar because it's a busy old year for Tim because he's got a big O birthday this year.
60.
Cheeky so-and-so. You might think that by my grey hair, but no. 50's high enough for now. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's no, so it's a busy old year. There's a lot of stuff in the diary already. So actually, I was pulling out weekends that I can potentially go camping and do some of the camping trips that I've kind of been talking about and thinking about. So I've kind of made it. It was really nice to sit and kind of go, actually, I think I'm probably going to get camping this year. It's after all the rubbish of last year. So we've already got one camping trip planned for the beginning of March, and then there are others. It's just going to be a rolling year of lots of camping for me, which I'm super excited about. So it's the only thing that beats that. Obviously going camping is the best thing you can do. The next best thing to going camping is planning all of that camping. And kind of getting some secondary pleasure from planning camping trips at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Yeah, all that kind of build up of how much beer, how's it going to fit in the cooler? Do I need a second cooler? Where do I put the sausages?
We don't need sausages. We just have more beer. Maybe I need a third Yeti, says Ade.
Uh,
How many Yetis have you got?
two.
Two. Oh, I thought you had three for a minute. I thought you were going to
Well,
go, I've got three.
well, I had two, and they were the two small ones, 20 and a 24. And then they brought out the wheeled one at a 48 and a 60. I got the 48, but it was a bit big and a bit heavy and a bit silly when you just went for a night and you
Yeah.
got, I mean, I could half fill it with cans for the night because, you know me. But yeah, so then they brought out a 32. So I sold the 48 and bought the 48 and got the smaller one, the 32. And then when I left work last year, they bought me the tiny little 15, Yeti 15. So actually, it all comes together that, the 15 can be the food, the 32 can be the beer.
I was going to say the 15 is the sausages, and
You knew the way round it was.
oh,
Definitely.
totally, yeah. God, let me know.
Other brands are available out there. I'm hearing an awful lot of good chat about various other coolers that do exactly the same sort of thing. Yeti,
Canyon coolers. I've heard an
Canyon,
awful lot recently about
yeah.
Canyon coolers being quite fantastic, and they've been around donkey's years. Mainly
Yeah.
North America, but
They
I'm
do ship
hearing.
to the UK, I think.
Oh, cool. I am
Yeah.
hearing a lot about Canyon coolers at the moment.
Yeah, so although we do talk about a lot of gear, we're not sponsored by anybody. Worst luck, really. But if you want to sponsor us, we would only ever be honest and fair about that. It
That's
wouldn't.
that's why they won't sponsor us, Eddie. Well, this is a
I,
great cool box, but I can only fit in 79 beers.
I got an extra day of coldness from Tim. We're English. We don't mind tepid beer, do we?
I quite like warm ale, to be honest. I'm
Yeah.
quite all right with room temperature ale.
Laird is turning over in Texas, going, "What? There's something wrong with the force." Somebody talking about warm beer?
Oh, not lager. Lager's got to be really cold, but I'm talking about real ale. Real ale, and I know some people drink real ale really cold. I think that's too cold for real ale. It should be, not warm, and it shouldn't really be room temperature, but it should be cellar temperature. It's
Yeah.
so a little bit cooler than the room you're in, but it shouldn't be like ice cold. It's
I
otherwise,
uh, I
otherwise
did
it's just lager.
I did see, you've just reminded me, I did see something this week about, it's called a beer thermometer or something. So it's like a poker that you put in the fire to heat up until it's red.
Mm.
And then you put a shot of whiskey in your beer and then put the hot poker in it and it caramelizes some of the thing and warms up your beer.
Wow.
I'll see if I can find it and maybe post it to the socials. It looked like something. I mean, I don't want a whiskey in my beer, to be honest. Now, brandy, now you're talking. Damn your eyes.
Oh God. Do you remember when we went to Berlin years ago and were we having hot chocolate? We'd done some ice skating. We went on a boys' jolly. There was like 10 of us, and I think we went ice skating. And then one group
Mhm.
went off to go and get a McDonald's, and we were like, I don't want a McDonald's. I want like a big Bavarian sausage. So we went and got some Bavarian sausage and a hot chocolate. And it's
There
like,
are people sniggering about Tim saying sausage so much on this episode.
sausage
A
time.
big Bavarian sausage. Sausage time, Tim.
You can't beat a big Bavarian sausage. I don't know where you'd got it from. You must have run off to like a supermarket or something. But we were all around there with these hot chocolates, and you just out of your inside pocket of your jacket just pulled out a bottle of brandy and just went, "Anybody want a brandy in that?" And we were like, "Well, yes, of course." That's amazing. Where did you get that from?
Ta-da!
It was fantastic. It was great. Oh, one of those fantastic memories.
Brilliant.
Oh,
Berlin is an excellent city.
an awesome city. We were there in winter where it's December. I think it was -23 it got down to, and we all had like chilblains on our legs walking round, but it was a fantastic city. Absolutely brilliant. It's great place, great people. It's so this week we do have an episode, don't we? This week we're talking about Leave No Trace, which we've mentioned tons and tons and tons, but you suggested it as a topic for today, didn't you?
Well, I did, because some people are really bossy about Leave No Trace. And as there should be, we all. But I wonder whether or not we're all on the same page, because I sometimes go camping with some of my friends, and some of those friends are smokers. Some of those don't buy pre-rolled cigarettes; they roll their own, and they've got filters and stuff like that. The amount of times that they're not very good at aiming the butts of the cigarettes into the fire, so they bounce off a little bit. The amount of times the little plasticky thing that the filters come in has spread all over the place, and I have to go around. And I kind of just wondered what is everybody's take on Leave No Trace?
Yeah,
What's your experience?
We've mentioned it previously, but we've never really gone into it in any depth, really. And I suppose on a superficial level, I kind of think of it as, what's that old saying? Take only photographs and leave only footprints. And I kind of have that really as a thing of, if I've gone out somewhere, I want to take all of my stuff back with me. And also, I kind of want to leave it as good as it was when I got there. So it's not always possible if you're like multiple days on a campsite somewhere and the grass has gone a bit yellow, but the grass will come back. I don't want to go snapping branches off trees and cutting down trees, or you're going to tell me I have done that when I've been on
Tim,
rum.
Whatever happens on rum stays
Tim
in the campsite.
Tim ain't doing rum again. That's for sure. I ain't doing the Kraken. I am not doing the Kraken ever again. It's oh god.
Sounds like a euphemism, but it actually means the rum.
The rum brand Kraken. Other brands are available, I'm sure. Other brands of rum would get me equally messed. But
Tim goes cray on the Kraken.
Oh my god.
Kraken cray.
Yeah, God, I burnt all my hand that trip as well. It's now that's a story that we're not going to tell you.
That's a story we're not going to tell you. But there's a lot of things that came from that camping trip, because that was the one where you just put all the wood on, and we would there was 2 bags of wood that went up really good, and we were like dancing around that doing fireworky. So many things that happened.
So many things happened on that trip. It's yeah.
And surprisingly, we didn't get banned from that campsite. Don't get banned. That's probably a top tip for Leave No Trace. If you're getting banned, you've done something wrong.
Yeah. But no, Leave No Trace to me is leave it in at least as good a condition as you found it. And actually, if you've got there and there is a bit of rubbish and it needs a bit tidying up, well, actually, you've got the potential to leave it in a better state than it was when you found it. You can always pick up somebody else's rubbish and take that with you and make sure you take it all away. But
Yeah, I mean, I think every now and again I do that. When I was in Anglesey the other week, we were doing a bird watching tour on the cliffs, trying to find some exotic birds that might have been there. And somebody just dumped a couple of cans down and stuff. And yeah, I picked them up and took them with me and disposed of them properly because, why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it
I
is
mean,
that thing.
the
And
thing
I
is,
think,
why would you leave those cans there in the
I
first
mean,
place?
that's
And it's
it.
just,
Yeah.
not that we need to get into a big moaning whinge fest, but if you've gone to the trouble of carrying those cans out somewhere and you drink them, you've enjoyed them, just put them in your, they don't weigh anything now. Put them back in your
Yeah.
pack,
Yeah.
unless
Yeah.
their mates put them in their pack without them knowing, like we talked about last week in last week's episode, and they're just
Yes.
furious.
I think as well that campsites or wherever you are do take some responsibility for this because how many times have you been to a campsite recently where they expect you to take your rubbish away with you?
Yeah.
That they're trying to minimize their costs, but it also then puts the onus on you, which it should be, but actually that can be quite a big thing, really, so
Well,
uh,
particularly if you've if you've driven a lot of miles to go to a campsite and then they say you got to take it all home. And like you say, I don't disagree with that. But actually, if you've got a load of smelly rubbish and you've been there for days and you've got kids with you and everything else, or you might have a young family and you might have nappies and all sorts of stuff,
yeah,
actually, it kind of makes you then go and find somewhere local where you can get rid of that rubbish because you don't
yeah,
necessarily want to drive 6 hours
yeah.
with a bag of rubbish and three screaming kids all the way back to your house. So that I know what you mean. It does annoy me that when campsites kind of say, "Oh, and take all your rubbish home."
Yeah,
It's like,
and I understand
yeah,
why they're doing it. They want to minimize their costs and stuff, and hopefully everybody's got that leave no trace. But I do think that you should be able to dispose of stuff at a campsite. That's part of what you should be doing. I think from my point of view, anyway. But
well,
I
I
will
agree.
take stuff home. But how many times if you've got cans and like you say, if you've got kids and nappies and stuff like that, you don't want that in the car with you for a 5 hour journey home or something.
No,
And how
no,
many times do you go past council sort of bins that haven't been collected for ages and things are spilling out of it and stuff, so
yeah.
it's a tough one, but leave no trace is the ultimate kind of thing. Should we go through it? So I found something that has the 7 principles of leave no trace,
Oh,
which was new to me as
sleepy, sleepy, tidy. If you asked me to say the dwarves, I could get sleepy, dozy, nappy, um, uh,
I think
uh,
sleepy and nappy are the same, aren't they?
probably dozy as well. They're probably all the
Yeah,
same one.
maybe he just got a lot of nicknames. Did that one?
Yeah, I couldn't name the seven dwarfs. No,
Yeah.
sorry. What are your seven principles? What have you got?
Well, so, and this is expeditionalpine.com. So it's a very nice made up document. So plan ahead and prepare, which I think is a really
Ah,
good kind of
yeah,
thing because you're going to read the rules on the campsite before you go. And if there's somebody that says, we don't have a bin and we expect people to take it away with them, fine.
yeah,
That's being prepared. They've told you. I obviously have missed that a couple of times when I've, "Oh, I'm going
yeah.
camping. I'm off to the shops to get the beer." Um,
I've forgotten on a couple of camping trips bin bags.
yeah,
I've been caught out by that before, so now I've always got some bin bags. Not a massive roll, but I've always got like maybe five or six just rolled up tightly in the bottom of my camp
yeah.
box because I've been caught out by that before. You get there, and it's like, oh God, one, I've got to take it all home, and two, I have nothing to take this home in.
And that's the thing, isn't it? That if you are then scrambling around for something, I mean, I've used wood bags, the bags that the
things,
wood comes in. Yeah, the net things. Or
you've got bags made of wood. Why haven't we burned those, Ade?
they would get burned. That's why you've never seen them. One good trip. But that's the thing of if you're then expected to take stuff home and you're not prepared for it, you've got leaking cans and bits dripping all over. Your car stinks.
Yeah.
Not everybody drinks beer in the way that you and I do, but it's other things that are leaking. If you know you're expected to bring everything home with you, I also switch like sausages, bacon, burger into resealable tubs. Rather than having packaging and stuff leaking and things like that, I put them into stuff that I want to bring back anyway, so you can wash them up and do that with.
Yeah.
But, I think it's, being planning and be prepared. What are the rules? What do you need to do? What should you have? How many's coming with you, etc.?
Well, particularly if you like wild camping, you need to go to the toilet, and so you need to be prepared for that. You can't just you can't do what a bear does, can you? And go for a crap in the woods. You've got to have a shovel. You've got to dig a decent hole. You've got to be able to backfill it. You should be taking tissue, and so you've got to be prepared for that. You can't just like hike up a hill and do what you're doing. What's point two, Ed? I can see you're about to vomit. There's a mere mention of going to the toilet.
We've got to point two already. No, Tim. Tell us some more about it.
So when I was last digging a hole for a latrine.
Losing listeners, Tim. Losing listeners. Stay with us, people. We're moving on.
Ed, they're not listening.
Travel and camp on durable surfaces. Only use established trails and sites. Know the local camp regulations. Disperse your use in primitive areas. Okay. So don't all just congregate, spread around a little bit. And a campsite that has people staying, as you said before, other than your footprint, your tent, and however long that's up, the grass might yellow a little bit, but it'll come back really quickly.
Yeah, it will. But saying that, if I go onto a site and clearly somebody's gone off from there that morning and there's a yellow area, I don't put my tent on the yellow area. Don't double whammy that bit of grass by really making it, die back. Put your tent on a green area and let that bit of grass get some sunlight and come back to life.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? That I think over a few years ago, when lockdown was happening, there's a farmer's field with a path in it, and that path went from 3 feet wide to 20 feet wide over the course of the summer, and the farmer was livid about it because actually he just lost a load of, there's an actual path there that he has to maintain, but it had just grown and grown because people were trying to give everybody more space, but we're no longer in those times. No. And stick to trails, stick to them, and don't try and veer off. However many people you might cram onto that little tiny space that they said will hold 10 people.
Yeah. But then that's a really good point, because even when you're out sort of walking the hills and things like that, you can really see the damage that foot traffic can do. And you think, you're just walking along a little bit. I mean, even at where I work, there's a path. They put a path to the car park in sort of a windy way, and of course people are lazy, so they cut the corner, and you can see how compressed that soil is on that little path there at work, and nothing's ever going to grow there. But that for something to grow there now, it's going to need to be dug up and the ground put back and it be prepared for it again. If you're doing that out in nature, it doesn't take long for actually certain paths to be totally compressed, and plants won't come back there. It'll take years and years for plants to be able to come back to those
Yeah.
areas with nobody treading on them. So just, like you say, just stick to trails, stick to proper paths, and try not to damage plants and things on the edges of that, because you like seeing them and you want
Yeah.
them to be there for like 5 years' time when someone else is walking down that path.
Yeah. Yeah. The next one's dispose of waste properly. And I think this one's probably a little bit contentious for some people because, okay, we all know to do that with cans and plastics and various other things. But one of the first lines of it is do not leave behind bananas, oranges, or apple peels.
Yeah.
I read a story, I think in Trail Magazine, about the cost of leaving banana peel and how long it takes
Yeah.
to degrade down. And obviously, nothing like what plastics do. But the fact that it is waste that's been left that shouldn't be there. And so, although it will degrade at a faster rate, it's still littering, isn't it? How many
Absolutely.
times have you sat down and seen somebody's apple core next to you, and you're just like, somebody? I've seen people go, "Oh, the animals will get it" and stuff. And it's like, will they? So
They don't, and banana skins last years
yeah,
before they'll degrade, and orange peel lasts years before it'll degrade. And you think, oh, it's a natural thing; but it will not. And it takes nothing to just put it in your pocket and carry it home.
yeah, yeah.
And actually, if you put orange peel on a fire, it smells really nice. Burn it.
Ooh, burn it. Yeah, so pick out or pack out all your garbage, including know how to properly dispose of human and pet waste, toilet paper, and soapy water. But yeah, yeah, it's just those things. I think, starting from that, plan ahead so you know what you're doing. You know how to, you're taking some of it. It's going to be lighter by the end, that's for sure, because you've eaten the main bit of it. So the other thing is leave what you find. Do not collect natural items or move them. Be aware of local invasive and prevent their spread through transportation. Help preserve historical or cultural sites. So here in the UK, I think there's a rule of the 4 Fs. Say not swearing again. It's flora, fauna, foliage, and fungi. Those are the things that you could take if you're on a path or whatever, but things like wood and stuff like that, but that belongs to whoever the path's on that you're on, and you're not supposed to move it. But once again, if you're picking flowers and doing whatever, are they flowers that you can pick? You can't pick bluebells, you can't pick other various things. And leaving no trace actually means, just leave it as you found it if you can.
Yeah, like I said before, it's like take only photos. If those flowers look pretty, take pictures of them. It's
Oh.
it's yeah, it's don't pick up stuff and just think, oh, I'll take that home. It's
Yeah.
I went
Well,
to gonna name drop now. I went to Alcatraz and a few years ago, and I really wanted a rock from the rock, because why wouldn't you? And one of the first things the ranger kind of doing is like, as soon as you get off the boat, there's like a ranger there, and they're kind of telling you, because it's a national park and it comes under national parks in America. So there's a park ranger there, and he's giving you a talk about it all, and then you go off on a tour and everything. But one of the first things he says is, everything here is owned by the federal government. So if you take a rock, you're breaking federal law, and there was like so many $1,000 fine if you're caught getting back on a boat with a rock from the rock. But in the shop they sell rocks from the rock, official rocks from the rock, and you could buy one of those, but you couldn't just go around picking up a stone and going, I'm going to have this, because they have like millions and millions of people going. And if everybody takes a stone from Alcatraz, there won't be any Alcatraz left within a couple of years, because and you've got to, I know that's a tourist site and everything else, but the same thing applies if you're going up a mountain somewhere. if everybody takes a little piece of that, it actually doesn't take very long for all of that to kind of get some serious damage and wear and tear. And
Yeah.
it's, but yeah, no, cool.
Yeah.
Albatross is a great place to go to, by the way. It's one of the best audio tours I've ever done in my life. It's amazing.
Ooh, can you camp on the rock?
No, you can't. You can't stay overnight on it. It's and if you turn up on the day, you can't go. You've got to pre-book because it's booked up months in advance.
Wow.
They were turning tourists away, and they were like almost crying because it was like they didn't think to book. Anyway, that's nothing to do with a camping podcast.
uh, Point number 5 is minimize campfire impacts. So, know your local campfire and stove regulations. So, very important for those places around the world that featuring on the news recently. So, America, Australia, to name just 2 of them. I know that they're not synonymous with wildfires, but figure out what you can do. And if you're unsure, just go and ask. There'll always be information centres or somebody on the campsite that'll let you know. Mostly in the UK, there's very few places that'll let you just do it on the ground anymore. There were a couple of those, and even they've got, actually we expect people to raise it off the ground.
Yeah. If there are places that do let you just have a fire on the ground, even they really like you to try and use the same fire spots rather than just keep burning the ground and burning the ground. And if you are burning it on the ground, make sure you get some sturdy rocks and things around there to protect it. So, there's a lot of wildfires started when people are just burning stuff on the ground and a log rolls off and rolls into the brush, and before you know it, there's a fire. So it's always good to put like a stone ring round or something down there that will prevent those things rolling out, and clear all the stuff away. Clear, if there's any.
Get down to dirt. Get down to dirt.
Get down and dirty. Oh no, that's a different podcast.
That's a different podcast again. And also, what are you doing with your ash at the end of it? Do you fully extinguish it? Saw somebody the other day, because I've been to in this last year, somebody that doesn't put an ash pan out, want you to, and putting your ash into to take away with you is quite dangerous, to be honest.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to, if it's still warm in the morning, you don't want to have to pour water on it and then put it into a bag. Just a messy old kind of thing. So I saw a video where somebody actually dug a hole, put the ash from the fire into it, watered it all, and put the sod back on top of it, so that it was out of the way.
I like that idea. I mean,
I like that idea.
My fire pit, you don't have to use it with all in one go. So it's a fire pit that folds up, but actually it had an optional sort of tray table to then that you could then stand it on. So it's double the height off the floor, and it's really going to catch every bit of ash that comes out the bottom of that fire. I got that because it actually lets you. There's a number of campsites where I've been able to use that when other people haven't, because it is so protecting the ground. It's doing a really good job. And I just like the idea that actually my fire's not going to damage anything at all. It's a really safe fire pit, unless I have rum.
Unless you have rum. Next point is respect wildlife. Use the rule of thumb. Avoid wildlife during sensitive times. Use the proper food storage procedures and keep pets under control. Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Just because you're camping, nobody else loves your dog like you love your dog.
Yeah. drives me mad, does that, when there's dogs just running crazy around campsites and stuff. It's bonkers.
But
or across fields with livestock in them. You see it every year though. Like lambing season isn't that far away now. We'll start to see the first lambs, and you still now see dog walkers just letting dogs off and running through fields of sheep, and it's like, have a little bit of control. And
Yeah. Well, just the final one is be considerate of others. So I think that is use the proper right of way rules, keep pets on leashes, music and noise. And we were at a festival last year, and somebody, just because they were at and it was a bushcraft festival, it wasn't a music festival, just decided to keep their campsite awake all night and just partied all the way through the night. And I'll put up with an awful lot, but there was an awful lot of noise from them, and it was a big FU to everybody else almost, wasn't it?
yeah,
We're
it was.
going to make this noise, and nobody else can really stop us. So it's that's. I know you. Sorry.
Having a bit of consideration for other people is, it always occurs to me of what am I doing and how is it impacting other people, and most of the time I want to go and be mainly quite chilled out, but yeah, some people I always think they're probably just not very self-aware,
Not
because
very
they're
self-aware or
having a
quite
nice
conscious
time.
that they do, they've not done it before. All right, I'm here and I'm doing this. Like the campers that come and camp right next to you, even though there's a massive big field.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I liked all those points. And I think the planning ahead will certainly, get you to think a little bit more about stuff. Sometimes you can't do that. Sometimes I get too excited and just think, oh, I'm going to go away for the weekend. I'm camping. I'm going to use all
Yeah.
my new stuff. And you forget about it and you're there. There's things that you can do to minimize that. But, it happens. But just, as a basic thing, it's more than just make sure you take everything away and try and leave
Yeah.
no state. I think it is those other principles of, making sure that you keep your dogs,
Under control and
under
everything.
control,
And
on
actually,
leashes.
I hadn't, some of those points that you made there, I absolutely agree with 100%. But I hadn't put them under the umbrella of leave no trace. Like you say, to me, leave no trace is don't take anything, and don't take anything that was already there unless it's rubbish. And don't leave anything that you've brought with you. Make sure you take everything home. But actually, it does encompass an awful lot more than that.
Yeah.
It's not just about stuff. It's about your attitude to things. It's about your behaviour to things.
Yeah.
And planning is, like you say, is the most important. What's the other old thing that people say? Poor planning promotes poor performance. There's some other P's in there. I'll let you insert those yourself, listeners.
Uh,
But
but yeah,
yeah,
yeah. When you book somewhere, they've all got rules that say, we want you to do this. Campsites are a fan of their rules and stuff,
yeah,
but knowing whether or not you're going to be able to take your rubbish, be insistent that you have to take your rubbish away with you, or make you prepare to take a bin bag with you. And
yep.
what you don't want is a scramble around and get one of those terrible bin bags that just rips in the car.
Oh God. Or you're using an old plastic shopping bag that's actually got holes in it so you can't suffocate anyone, and all the stuff oozes out into the boot of your car. It's like, oh no. Not that I'm going around looking for bags to suffocate people with.
I love that that's the way your mind works, that you can't suffocate anyone. You could have just said, so you can't suffocate. But no, it's a menace with Tim.
Well, I wouldn't want to suffocate myself. If I was forced to suffocate, it'd be someone else, wouldn't it? I'm not going to, if they're going to
Can you
force me to
find one
suffocate someone,
without
it's not going
holes
to be
and
me.
go, oh, brilliant, that's a good one. I'll save that for later, just in case.
Oh, no.
Oh, God. Oh, thanks for making quite a dry subject a little bit funny at the end of it.
Oh God, anything can happen on the Kraken.
Anything can happen.
Oh,
on the
you know what?
Kraken.
We need to get on the Kraken and record one of these on the Kraken. No,
Maybe we'll do
I'll burn the laptop.
We'll do an after hours one when we get together. I've got some shot glasses.
Oh, yes, you do. You got those for your birthday.
I did.
What brand are they, Eddie?
They are Yeti ones. And I love them a lot.
Oh, I just wrote it on some cheap ones with the black pen.
Ooh, they've gone off brand with these. They're collectible. Anybody that knows Ade knows how gullible he is.
No, that was cool. Thank you for doing some research for that one. I'll hold my hand up and say I hadn't done a lot of research for that episode, but hopefully people found it interesting. It's
yeah. So this podcast is going out on Valentine's Day. Those of you that might have forgotten, take this as your reminder to bring some chocolates in, take somebody out for drinks, or an evening meal maybe.
Yeah. Or at least just remember to say Happy Valentine's. We've just saved your marriage.
Yeah. And then the following week's episode, we're at the NEC for the Caravan and Camping and Motorhome Show, which, if you remember last year's, was a fantastic show. So we'll give some insight. It'll be out on the Friday morning, so people can listen to that, decide whether or not they want to go. I would recommend going if you're in the UK and you fancy it.
It was huge. It was the biggest outdoor show I've been to. And as we said in last week's episode, what is camping? You know, it's all of those things. Are you looking at RVs? Are you looking at camper vans? Are you looking at trailer tents? There was a floating tent. There was all sorts of stuff last year. So I'm really looking forward to it, where it starts on the Tuesday and goes right through to the Sunday. We're going on the Tuesday as official podcast so that we can do a lot of content and research. And then we're going again on the Saturday to meet up with people.
So good, we want to go twice.
Yeah. So if you like the episode that goes out on that Friday, you've still got time to get some tickets and go, and you could come and meet us on the Saturday, which would be cool.
Very cool.
Very cool. Right then, Ed, I think we've probably said enough today. Should we clear off?
Casual Camping Podcast accepts no liability and does not officially recommend any products or endorse any techniques discussed in an individual podcast episode or shown on Casual Camping Podcast social media accounts. Individuals should make their own informed decision and risk assessment of any products or advice prior to any purchase or use.